Skies clearing over Paul Brown Stadium here in Cincinnati for the Week 17 matchup. For more on the battered Bengals, let's check in with Ginny Dell.
Well, Carter, each week the team public relations staff gives us one of these flip cards. It has the roster on it, the depth chart, but today we can pretty much throw it aside because Cincinnati has been plagued with some serious injuries. This past week alone, 4 prominent players were placed on IR, the most recent being A.J. Green, who missed the last 5 games with a hamstring injury. Tyler Kroft, Vontaze Burfict, and Jeremy Hill are all out with knee injuries. But Carter, Andy Dalton told me it doesn't matter who is playing, they will not scale back on the game plan.
So that means the challenges are even bigger here in this Week 17 matchup, and A.J. Green most notable, and he tried to come back and then shut down Friday before the Week 16 matchup, so no chance he's going to go in Week 17 on what is, this time of year in Cincinnati, pretty mild weather day.
You're right, and I think that's a smart move. Why risk a further injury going into the offseason with an A.J. Green? He's he's your franchise player. There's no doubt about that. He's one of the 5 best receivers in football. They're not going anywhere as far as the playoffs are concerned. So err on the side of being safe with a superstar player like A.J. Green.
Cincinnati won the toss and deferred, so Baltimore takes the opening kickoff. Randy Bullock puts it away. Chris Moore back for Baltimore. Take a knee, they'll have it at the 25. So Steve Smith earlier in the week said it was an 89% certainty that this would be his final NFL game. 89 his number, hence the 89%. But from our conversation yesterday, what percentage would you put it at?
99.9, I think. Just the way he talked, how emotional he was with us walking into the room. This has been one of the most fun players to watch in football throughout his career. So competitive, so feisty, a great trash talker. I think Baltimore's going to try to do their best to send him out with a bang.
So Flacco on first down. On the roll, chased. Heaves it incomplete to the sideline. Geno Atkins gets the pressure and the hit on Joe Flacco on first down. So Flacco surpassing 4,000 passing yards, and he is nearing the franchise record set by Vinny Testaverde, first year of the Ravens.
Well, he should pass that record today. If he doesn't, then that means the Baltimore Ravens will probably lose the football game. But regardless, Joe Flacco's played very well. You got to remember, battled a knee injury, tore ACL last year. Early in the year, he was not hitting on all cylinders, but he got better and better as the year went.
First pass is tipped and nearly picked. It's incomplete, bringing up 3rd and 10. Vincent Ray got a hand on it.
Yeah, you'll see here Pitta going right down the middle of the field, middle post. Flacco, this has been one thing that's been an issue for him all year. Hey, he's not as scared to try to fit the ball into a tight window, and it's led to some untimely interceptions and put the Ravens defensive team in some bad positions.
Ray starting at the will linebacker because of Vontaze Burfict's knee and concussion injuries. On 3rd and 10. Flacco pressured again, stepping up, and he will be dropped right at the line of scrimmage, in fact behind, so it's officially a sack. Dunlap and Johnson will share it, and a stop for the Bengals, 3 and out.
Well, I could talk about a lot of things here. First of all, this defense for Cincinnati has been playing phenomenal as of late. This front 4, they're good. The secondary is one of the best in football. And I also look at the Ravens and go, man, how do you start this series out and not run the football a little bit? That's the one thing that's been a little concerning to me with the Ravens this year.
I think concerning to John Harbaugh as well. Cook boots it away. Jones and Erickson both back. It'll bounce near the 40-yard line. So solid field position for Andy Dalton and the Bengals. Now, we talked about how with all of those injuries around him, including Hill and Green and Eifert and a jumbled offensive line, the numbers still good for Andy Dalton.
Yeah, hey, listen, he is certainly one of the better quarterbacks in the game, been very consistent all year. It's certainly taken on the leadership role, throwing the ball great, making plays when they're there. You said it, it's banged up offensive line and a lot of injuries at the skill positions.
Empty on first down from the 41. Fling it to the outside. Uzama makes the grab. He's at tight end because of injuries to both Eifert and Tyler Kroft. And he makes the grab as we take a look at the Bengals offensive starters and the offensive line. Another mixed combination for Week 17.
It's a rotating door. Whitworth is the guy there right now. He's back to left tackle. He was playing guard last week. Brandon LaFell has been the most consistent receiver in A.J. Green's absence. He is Andy Dalton's go-to guy.
Burkhead takes the handoff on 2nd and 3, slipping through that left side of the line. Burkhead delivers the blow to the 35, and Rex Burkhead 16 yards on his first carry.
Yeah, nice little play here, and this is something we've seen from the Ravens defense. We talked about it in the opening. They've been letting up some plays in the run game. They pull Zeitler, the backside guard. He does a nice job blocking in space. Makes a big hole for Burkhead.
Burkhead will take it again, this time on the right side. And he is popped by Brandon Williams for the tackle as we look at the Baltimore defense, vaunted Ravens defense, beginning with Brandon Williams in the middle.
Brandon Williams is the big guy. He clogs the middle of the offensive line, makes it very hard for guys to get up onto C.J. Mosley, who you see here, who's certainly the best playmaker on this Baltimore defense. And then you got Eric Weddle, who's been very consistent all year at the safety position. And I believe this is Eric Weddle, who's down over there on the sidelines right now.
And it is the big bounce back year after the 9 seasons with the Chargers, 3 Pro Bowls, 4 interceptions this year, most since 2011, but no Pro Bowl for Eric Weddle, and he limps to the Baltimore sideline.
Yeah, well,
prior to the second down play.
You said it. Weddle's been extremely good this year. He's a guy that's really doesn't have any weaknesses. He's good in pass coverage. He's smart. He's good at coming down in the box and making tackles. And the biggest thing is for this defense, Dean Pease, defensive coordinator of the Ravens, it's complicated. They do a lot of things. He's kind of the quarterback of the defense to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Matt Bielema at safety without Weddle. 2nd and 8, play action. Dalton on the roll. Downfield complete. It's LaFell who makes the grab. Right at the 20-yard line. LaFell, who has become the go-to guy without A.J. Green.
Yes, and you know, I think this is one part of Andy Dalton's game that's underrated. His ability to move in the pocket and throw on the run. Really nice route here by Brandon LaFell. Outside release. They call this a comeback route. And Andy Dalton puts it in a place where only Brandon LaFell can get it.
Mark him out at the 21. 12-yard gain for LaFell. Dalton hands to Burkhead again. Inside the 20. Cincinnati takes the good field position. They started at the 41, now into the red zone. Tavon Young, the rookie corner, makes the stop on Burkhead.
Tavon Young's been he's one of the new up-and-comers on this defense, and he is going to be here for a little while, no doubt. I expect him to be one of the starting corners next year.
Penalties in the red zone has been a season-long issue for Cincinnati. 2nd and 7, complete to the outside. That's Cody Core who's going to take it inside the 10-yard line. 1st and goal for the Bengals. Wright makes the stop.
Well, you'll see Cody Core here. He runs like a little under route, basically. But the thing that jumps out to me, look at the room he has. Where's the DBs? I think this is one of the concerning things for John Harbaugh. When he talked to him yesterday, he'd like to see his corners play a little more aggressive at the line of scrimmage. Too many easy completions being given up right now.
Dalton 3 for 3 on the opening drive. 1st and goal, Cincinnati. Flinging to the outside. LaFell on the screen, takes it to the 5.
This is where this Ravens defense can be so tough, Carter, because of course they're talented, they're well coached, and when there's nothing to be scared of behind them here at the 5-yard line, all eyes are on the quarterback. Hard to find little holes to throw the ball into if you're Andy Dalton or these receivers. And I'll be interested to see if they even attempt a run here at the 5-yard line.
With a 4 for 4 start, Andy Dalton over 4,000 yards, 32 on the opening drive. On 2nd and goal, Burkhead takes it, tripped up on the arch, diving for the goal line, and he is in for a touchdown. Rex Burkhead, opening drive score for the Bengals. A 3-and-out on defense to start, and Andy Dalton leads a nearly flawless opening touchdown drive.
Yeah, basically just a weak side, outside zone. Nobody there to set the edge for the Baltimore Ravens defense. Burkhead kind of stumbles there. It's really close, actually, to whether he got in the end zone here. His elbow might have been down just as he's reaching the ball out. But that's not what I think John Harbaugh had in mind for his defense to start the game here. Let's see this. Watch this right elbow just as he goes down. Does it hit before the ball crosses?
We will review the previous play.
Ooh. So for now, a touchdown for Rex Burkhead, but under review, after the opening touchdown drive for the Bengals.
The play, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So Burkhead in. The question was whether another part of the body other than the hand was down just prior to the goal line. The call stands. Referee Pete Morelli, replay official Tommy Moore. Of course, back to the NFL offices. Randy Bullock boots it through. 7-0 start for Cincinnati, and a nearly perfect start for a team who's only 5 wins on the year.
Yeah, and really, the hand is allowed to be down. It was just whether the review officials deemed that forearm to touch before the ball crossed the line. I thought it was too close to tell, so that's why the call stands on the field. But regardless, I'm just shocked about the Baltimore Ravens and how easy that looked for the Cincinnati Bengals offense. You know, we got the sense yesterday being with the Ravens that they were ready to go today. They wanted to be a 9-7 football team. I kind of expect them to come out with a little more fire than that.
27 rushing yards for Burkhead and the touchdown. So as we take a look at the AFC playoff picture and really the biggest intrigue in the AFC West.
Yes, the Oakland, Kansas City, how does that shape up later today in those matchups? They can switch spots. Kansas City could be the 2 if Oakland loses and Kansas City wins. Miami can even move up to the 5th spot if they win and Kansas City lost. So that can be your little difference makers there. I think we would all agree that New England is the elite class team in the AFC right now.
Patriots clinch home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs with a New England win or tie, or an Oakland loss or tie. And yeah, Matt McGloin going for the Raiders in place of the injured Derek Carr.
Yes, and Matt McGloin, I've been out with the Raiders a lot over the last few training camps. They got a lot of confidence in him. He's not afraid to push the ball down the field, and they still got a good football team around him. I don't think they're going to fall off the side of the earth here.
So the Ravens will take it at the 25. We look at the Ravens offensive starting lineup.
Man, Ronnie Stanley at left tackle is just, I can't say enough about how impressive he's been as a rookie. Been one of the better left tackles in all of football when he's healthy and in the game. Kyle Juszczyk is just a Swiss Army knife. You can use him in so many different ways. Fullback, tight end, lines up a receiver every now and then. A true mismatch for a defense. Very impressive. Made that big play last week to give them the go-ahead score against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Three and out, first time Baltimore had it. The toss, that's Terrence West on the left side. Gets 3 on first down as we look at the Bengals defense.
The Bengals defense, we talked about it, they've been on fire lately. Geno Atkins is just unblockable at times. He is a truly specimen at the 3 technique for this defense. Carlos Dansby, the ageless wonder, still playing phenomenal. Can play pass coverage, run defense, still really good. And we talked about Drake Kirkpatrick in the open. He has been phenomenal. Paxton Jones on the other side is really good too. They got 2 good corners here in Cincinnati.
Kenneth Dixon takes a second down carry, and he appears to be just short on 2nd and 7 as Vincent Ray makes the stop. So Ravens come out drive number 2 running the football.
Thank you. That's what I was expecting really the first drive, you know, and running behind their 2 horses in Stanley and Marshall Yanda. That's what I would err on if I'm Marty Morningweg. You know, this is an offensive line that's been banged up a lot throughout the year too, and they've had to shuffle around a lot of pieces.
On 3rd and 1, Dixon picks up the first down, moving it across the 35 to the 37-yard line. Next weekend, CBS Sports hoops it up. Saturday, Texas A&M tussles with South Carolina. Sunday, the Badgers battle the Boilermakers right here on the road to the Final Four. CBS Sports, check local listings. Steve Smith doesn't have a catch yet. Play action. Flacco over the middle, that's complete. Dansby makes the stop immediately as West catches it.
This is the tough thing to me about the Baltimore Ravens offense, where we said create your own luck in the opening. It's a lot of dink and dunk in the passing game. You know, unable to break big plays in the run game as well. You watch them every week. It's just a lot of work for them to go down the field and get points. It's always a 15-play drive, a 12-play drive. Every now and then, somebody's got to make a play and take some pressure off of Joe Flacco and the offense in general.
West motions out. 2nd down. Flacco pressured again. Flacco sacked again on 2nd down. Atkins gets the sack. Let's check in with JB and Boomer.
Patriots are focused. All right, Tom Brady on his first series, 6 of 6. This 2-yard touchdown pass to Martellus Bennett gives him 26 touchdown passes on the year to 2 interceptions. They lead 7-0. They win. They get the #1 seed in the AFC. Off to a good start for New England.
All right, the comprehensive boom. Back to Carter Blackburn.
So the Patriots in Week 17 look like they're going all out for the win in 2017.
They're not going to make the mistake they made last year, where laying an egg in Miami and costing themselves the #1 seed.
Playing to the outside, that's caught by Aiken. So 4th down coming up, and slow getting up is Dre Kirkpatrick, the 5th-year corner out of Alabama. You say top 10 corners now in the NFL?
He's in the conversation. There's no doubt about that. With his size, I mean, Dre Kirkpatrick, the one thing, when you see him in person, you go, wow, he's a little taller. He's 6'2". You see 185, 190. He's extremely quick, got great long speed, and of course has that length at the line of scrimmage to disrupt receivers in their release. Little friendly fire there. Don't know what happened. Hopefully he's okay. It does look like Baltimore's going to go for this right now, and it's a legit 2 yards to me. I don't know about you, Carter, but it looks like 2 yards.
That's 2 yards.
Thank you for confirming that. Just want to make sure I wasn't getting old.
Haven't gained it yet. So Flacco under center on 4th down. 17th time they've gone for it on 4th down this year. The toss. Dixon has it on the edge. Has the first down, and the Ravens convert on 4th down. At midfield, Sean Williams finally makes the stop.
Well, it's a nice little play call by Marty Morningweg. It's not as easy as everybody thinks. 4th and 2, run it up the middle against these big defensive tackles in football right now. Get on the edge. Kenneth Dixon's got good speed, and you can see right there, got really good power. I'm amazed with how many tackles he breaks when you really break down the Baltimore Ravens. They got a guy going in the future here. They got a nice little two-headed monster with him and Terrence West at running back.
Marty Morningweg took over prior to Week 6. The question is, will he be back next year with Baltimore? As West takes the handoff, and another good push as West takes it to inside the 30. Our conversation with John Harbaugh yesterday about the offense didn't get into the specifics of the coaching staff, but he did say we are looking for a clear identity on offense.
Yes, he certainly seemed to be a little annoyed by that. I think that's why he made the switch to Marty Morningweg and they let go of Mark Trestman. He just felt like there was no, what are we on offense? What was our identity? What are we going to make defenses really at the game plan and stop? They're good at everything, but not great at one thing.
Averaging only 93 rushing yards a game, 26th. Cabanero takes the handoff and takes it to near the 20-yard line. Move the sticks, 1st and 10. Ravens. Williams makes another stop.
This has been a little wrinkle they've had in their offense here over the last few weeks. These speed sweeps with Cabanero.
Number 72 is reporting as eligible. 72 is eligible.
He does a good job with the ball in his hand. Made a play last week against Pittsburgh.
Alex Lewis is the extra tight end eligible for the Ravens, 72. Dixon in the backfield, 1st and 10, fling it to the outside. Complete on the quick hitter to Mike Wallace. Jones makes a stop.
Mike Wallace there. That was a run play. Basically, if the numbers don't work out, Joe Flacco says, you know what, I'm not going to run it into a brick wall. I'll just take my one-on-one matchup with Mike Wallace on the outside, a little simple slant route. Keeps them in a second and manageable situation. This is, as an offensive coordinator, what you want to be in. 2nd and 4, they can run it here, or they can take a shot in the end zone. The defense isn't sure what they might do.
On 2nd and 4, fake the handoff, dump it off. West makes the grab. And Casey blocking ahead of him. West will take it to the 11, short of the 1st down. Shaw and Iloka combine on the stop.
Shows you a little of the team speed of that Bengals defense in general. That was a nice little play design there. Fake the run, fake the reverse, screen out the other side. But guys like George Iloka, Pac-Man Jones, Vincent Ray at middle linebacker, man, they can run as good as it gets in the NFL. They were all over.
Opening drive, 3 and out for Flacco and the Ravens. Now they've taken it to the Cincinnati 11. West stood up and dropped. As soon as he touches it, Carlos Dansby gets the tackle for loss on 3rd and 1, bringing up 4th down, and Justin Tucker and the kicking unit come on.
Well, Carlos Dancy's the bottom of your screen here. You see he just comes down the line of scrimmage, recognizes the run play, nice physical tackle. At 250 pounds, I can't say enough about the play of Carlos Dansby and what he's still doing at his age. It's truly impressive. 13-year linebacker. I mean, that's just not easy. To be able to run and hit like that all these years, it talks about the physicality of him as a player.
30-yard attempt, that would be well within Justin Tucker's range. One of the great seasons that an NFL kicker has ever had. And boots it through from 30 to put the Ravens on the board. So a bounce-back scoring drive from Baltimore. 7-3. Bengals lead it to Cincinnati.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. H&R Block. Get your taxes what? And by T-Mobile. Switch to the network built for unlimited data.
The ice rink in Fountain Square, downtown Cincinnati. So opened during the winter and hosted the big New Year's Eve celebration in downtown Cincinnati last night. So Justin Tucker with his 38th made field goal this season ties his own single season Baltimore record. I mean, it truly is remarkable the year that Justin Tucker has had.
Yeah, he's a true weapon, and it's not like you could say that about kickers always, but he's about as automatic as it gets in football. And I've never seen a guy hit 4 50-yard field goals and you're just confident they're going to go through.
And yet, that one trickles out of bounds on the kickoff, so the Bengals will get it at the 40-yard line again.
You jinxed them. I'm blaming that on you, Carter.
The flag on the kickoff will set up Dalton and the Bengals with excellent field position again. Opening drive, Andy Dalton took it from the 41. Perfect passing, Cincinnati touchdown. Now the second drive, because of the kick out of bounds from Tucker, Dalton and the Bengals take it at the 40-yard line. Burkhead with him in the backfield. He'll take it on the right side. Burkhead falls forward to get a couple. Tackle by Smith. NFL on CBS, now on CBS All Access. Stream your local games live. Go to cbs.com/NFL now to try it free. Burkhead 29 rushing yards and the touchdown. Filling in for the injured Jeremy Hill.
We're good.
On 2nd and 8, here's the reverse. Boyd. Big walk downfield. Boyd has it inside the 45-yard line. Tyler Boyd for 15 yards on the reverse. Webb makes a stop.
Well, you heard all the conversation there before the snap. And basically, Andy Dalton just wanted to make sure they didn't waste this play into a bad look. That's what really happens there. But Boyd's been a pleasant surprise. Draft pick out of Pittsburgh, got good size, can do everything. Been a great replacement for guys like Mohamed Sanu and Marvin Jones, who they lost this past offseason.
Play action, Dalton downfield complete, and it's Boyd again who's going to take it inside the 20-yard line. After the rush on the reverse, Boyd makes the grab for 26.
Well, you'll see, they got basically 3 verticals, and here's your man going right across the field. Great throw. I really like this Boyd kid. He's got good size. He's a good route runner. You can see he's got a little speed to make plays with balls in the ball in his hands. The Bengals, that's the exciting thing about them. Yes, not the greatest year, but they got a lot of young guys coming up the pipeline who are very talented.
That's 41 yards in 2 plays for Boyd. 1 rush, 1 receiving. On the ground again inside the 15. We check in with JB and Boomer.
Patriots, boy, they're serious.
Well, they are serious, and here comes Michael Floyd. He's going to break 5 different tacklers to get into the end zone. Second touchdown of the day for the Patriots on their second drive. Tom Brady, 2 touchdown passes. They lead 14-0. And a shout out to Bill Connolly, longtime Bengal employee, retiring after this year. Carter, send him my best.
Yes, indeed we will. That's more on that later. Good tease. Good tease. Boomers. Burkhead takes that inside the 10. Judon makes a stop.
You know, we got to remember, too, Miami, they're in the playoffs. They're going to save themselves for the wild card game. So I'm sure they're not playing a whole lot of guys out there today. They're going to make sure they're healthy going to the wild card game. But again, back to this game, I'm sorry I had to add those 2 cents there.
Sure.
The weak side run, I'm just amazed at the push in the run game from the Bengals offensive line that, of course, is a mismatch of people. And this Ravens defense, 4th week in a row, we're just seeing a little more success than we've been used to seeing with a stout, one of the best run-stopping defenses in all of football.
Final seconds of the first quarter. We have a challenge coming from John Harbaugh.
Baltimore is challenging the ruling on the field of the spot of the football at the end of the play. Timeout.
So with a red flag down, we step aside.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com. And by Walmart. Save money, live better.
We have our second review, both based on where Rex
After
Burkhead was
reviewing the
down.
play, the ruling on the field stands. A first down. Baltimore will be charged a timeout and a challenge.
So the first review was on the touchdown. Scoring play review stood, and now this challenge from Baltimore.
Well, you can see they spot the ball at the 7. Now, it does look like his butt went down and the ball in his right arm was short of the 7-yard line, but I guess they decided that it just wasn't clear cut, and the call stands.
First and goal, 6 seconds left. This is the second Cincinnati drive. Dalton still perfect, 5 for 5. On first and goal to the end zone, incomplete. There's a flag thrown on Ladarius Webb. In coverage on Brandon LaFell.
Well, Baltimore just does not have a lot of good man-to-man cover corners. You're going to see this. This is clean as day.
Pass interference. Number 21, defense. The foul occurred in the end zone by rule. The ball will be placed on the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
You'll see Ladarius Webb safety
Number
now.
77 is reporting as eligible. Number 74 is reporting as eligible. 77-74.
Ladarius Webb used to play corners, a safety now. You can see he clearly hooked Brandon LaFell with his right arm. That was an easy call for the referee.
First and goal from the 1 after the pass interference on Webb. Jumbo package for the Bengals. Hewitt at H-back. Play fake. Dalton toss back. Touchdown. Cincinnati. Uzomah holds it in, and Andy Dalton and the Bengals with a perfect offensive first quarter. 2 touchdown drives. Dalton 6 for 6 with a touchdown pass.
You'll see Uzomah right here block down and then release. Great patience by him to sell the block, then get off. That's what gets him lost in coverage for the Baltimore Ravens defense, and Andy Dalton does a good job recognizing it and making a nice easy catch for the big tight end.
Where Uzomah's been through it all in 16. Scratched, started, missed 4 games with a calf injury, but without Croft, without Eifert, he is the tight end target. Randy Bullock's PAT is good, and Cincinnati a 14-3 start on Baltimore. Dalton and the Bengals a stellar first quarter and a start to the new year. Well, quite a moment for C.J. Uzomah, the second-year pro out of Auburn, the first career touchdown.
Well, you can see just a nice little play-action fake, boot out the backside. Uzomah does a good job of at least getting a piece of Zadarius Smith there, and then is wide open. Nice play design by offensive coordinator Ken Zampese.
So Tyler Eifert, the back surgery this week, his 5 touchdowns unavailable. Tyler Croft, a scratch with a knee injury. So Uzomah, I mean, that is, talk about indicative of what this year has been like for the Cincinnati Bengals. Up, down, injured, healthy, and now finally into the end zone.
Yes, it is amazing. You look at all the injuries they've had, all the guys they got out in this game. Added to the fact where you talk about their early schedule, I think that's the one thing we're not pointing out a lot in the media is, wow, I mean, they played the Patriots, the Jets, the Broncos, all these teams early on, and they were physical football games. I think they took their toll on their team overall.
Moore from the goal line, shoved out at the 21. Let's check in with Jenny.
Well, Carter, Steve Smith was wearing some special cleats during pregame warm-ups today. He said he wanted to honor some folks that have been in his life through the good and the bad. Those names include coaches, players, family, and friends. He pointed out former wide receivers coach Fred Graves, who he considers a father figure. Bobby Ingram is wide receiver coach in Baltimore, his wife, kids, Grandma Betty. The list contains people who have really impacted his life. And guys, we can also see the Carolina Panthers and, of course, the Baltimore Ravens on there.
And Chad Johnson on there as well. So all levels of football, back to junior college for Steve Smith, represented his pregame warm-up as Dixon takes the toss on first down, gets to the 24.
Yeah, and he made it very clear, Steve Smith to us. It wasn't guys that he was work friends with. These were people that he put on the cleats that truly meant something to him, his family, and personal life. Keeps in contact with them. He's such an intelligent, smart, quick-witted guy. He's so fun to be around. He can always make you laugh, and then you're scared of what you might say to him because he's always got a good comeback, too.
Like you. Flacco on the roll on 2nd and 7. Pressure, dumps it incomplete. 3rd down coming up. When we asked Steve Smith, Laurie, when are you going to make a definitive decision about coming back for year 17? He said, late January, going to Costa Rica, and said with wife Angie, that's when it's going to get very quiet and probably going to make a firm, definitive, more than 89% decision about coming back for another season, and he would be 38 years old.
Yes, and listen, he's still got got something left in the tank, there's no doubt, but he said no kids, Costa Rica, him and the wife will hash it out and figure out for sure what he's going to do.
Flacco on 3rd and 7 over the middle. Pitta has it for a Baltimore first down. Finally stopped by Nick Vigil.
Well, Pitta's just going to settle over the middle here. Flacco gets the ball on him pretty quickly. It's a zone defense. You can see he just finds a little hole in the zone. Flacco gets it to him. And Pitta does a good job of just turning up aggressively and getting a few extra yards. That's what got them the first down.
76 receptions, most in a single season by a Ravens tight end for Pitta. He's their leading receiver. Flacco off the back foot, heaves it incomplete, intended for Pitta down the sideline.
There has not been a whole lot of open receivers, I'll say that. From watching here, we got a good view. This Cincinnati Bengals defense, I mean, it's I can't say enough about it the last 5-6 weeks. They've been truly dominant. And you can see there, they got cover corners all over the place. Pac-Man, Drake Kirkpatrick, that was Josh Shaw on coverage there.
Timeout. Cincinnati, first team timeout.
So with a 14-3 Bengals lead on the Ravens, we step aside.
I'm about 89% sure.
Good number.
Football's giving me more than I probably can give football back, but you know, for 2016, 17, and beyond, it's probably my last game.
Flacco over the middle, complete, and sure enough, the first catch of the game for Steve Smith, the 16th year pro out of Utah.
There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Steve Smith Sr. Just ran a little in-cut, really. Joe Flacco did a good job of kind of looking at the underneath receiver, got the defense drawn on that, and then Steve Smith came behind it all. But man, there's talk about a fearless receiver over the middle. Steve Smith Sr. epitomizes that.
Hughes check blocking. Dixon slips behind the line of scrimmage. And when we talk about the toughness of Steve Smith, we talked with Brandon LaFell, play with him in Carolina. LaFell now with the Bengals, who said, if I'm in trouble in a dark alley and I have 3 phone calls, I'm making all 3 phone calls to Steve Smith. That's the toughness of Steve Smith.
He's just, I can't say it, he's truly like a firecracker. When I used to play against him in Tampa Bay and he was with the Carolina Panthers, I'll finish the story after this play.
Play fake, 2nd and 12. Flacco batted, almost picked off by Clark.
Well, you'll see here, Will Clark does a good job of just realizing Joe Flacco is going to get the ball out of his hands quickly. He's not going to get there in time to apply pressure. Reads the quarterback and gets his big hands up in the air and deflects the pass. But my Steve Smith story, when he was with the Carolina Panthers in the prime of his career, he used to come over to the side, like getting ready to line up right by John Gruden. He'd go, hey, John, watch me watch me mess up your DB. He'd catch the ball, spin the ball on the ground, and look right at Gruden, and Gruden used to love it.
He would say mess up.
It was a little different word than that. I almost let it go.
On 3rd and 12, Flacco over the middle, caught. Pinna makes the grab near the 40. We check in again with Jamie Boomer.
Tony Romo. Well, since it's the Cowboys and it's Tony Romo, we got to show you this because it's a 16-yard completion with Terrence Williams, his first completion of the year as he's taking over for Dak Prescott here in the second quarter against the Philadelphia Eagles. 3-3 score tie.
Back to Carter, Chris, and Jenny.
Well, that finally ends a speculation about whether Romo would play Week 17. On 1st and 10, Flacco pumps. He's going to take the check down, incomplete, intended for Dixon. So we look at the NFC playoff picture.
Well, Atlanta's got to win if they want to be the number 2 seed and host that divisional playoff game. If they lose and Seattle wins, Seattle will become the number 2 seed. And if Seattle loses and Atlanta loses and Detroit somehow wins against Green Bay, Detroit can even be the number 2 seed. But pretty much this is your playoff picture. The big game being Detroit-Green Bay tonight. If Washington loses, Detroit and Green Bay both get in the playoffs. That's the interesting thing. Washington wins, then only the winner of Green Bay-Detroit makes the NFC playoffs.
Heavy pressure coming on 2nd down. Flacco flings to the outside, incomplete. Would you say it would take a plethora of results for Tampa Bay to make the playoffs?
I would say that, El Guapo. I would, yes. They have to have about 7 different scenarios for them to hit. Didn't want to leave out my old Buccaneers, but certainly seems the chances aren't in their favor for them making the playoffs.
These two teams, first time since 2007. Either Baltimore or Cincinnati will be in the playoffs.
Wow, look at all the guys at the line of scrimmage right here for the Cincinnati Bengals. Will they blitz or will they drop out in the zone coverage?
Bringing pressure on Flacco. Check down. Juszczyk makes the grab, but he's dropped behind the line of scrimmage. Vincent Ray starting in place of the injured Vontaze Burfict makes the stop. And the Ravens are stymied again by the Cincinnati D.
Well, they ended up playing like 2-man coverage basically here. And Vincent Ray, you can see he is all over Juszczyk. But listen, sitting up here, I haven't seen 2 open receivers this game yet for the Baltimore Ravens. That's the thing that's jumping out to me. Even the completions, it's Joe Flacco making incredible throws into tight windows.
Cook hangs it high. Erickson makes the grab near the 17. The Bengals 2 for 2 touchdown drives. They get it again with a 14-3 lead. Andy Dalton, the perfect 6 for 6 with a touchdown pass. Handing off to Burkhead on 1st down. While the Bengals have been remarkably efficient offensively, Baltimore's last drive was 11 plays for 35 yards.
It goes into our Home Depot, tools for success. This is the thing for Baltimore. It's just every drive is so hard, so many plays, converting 3rd downs. At some point, you need somebody to make a play, whether they draw up a trick play on the sidelines of Marty Morningweg or take a chance on defense. They get a sack, fumble, whatever it may be, but it's just been too hard for this Ravens offense. And on the other side, like you said, the Bengals have been a model of efficiency, making big plays in the run game and pass game.
Dalton now 7 for 7 with that completion to the outside to LaFell, so 3rd and 4. Excellent field position on the first 2 drives. They start this one from their 18. It was the 41 and the 40. The first 2 drives for Cincinnati. Dalton 34 over the middle, complete right at the stick. It's Uzomah who makes the grab. Forward progress appears to give him the 1st down.
Wow, it was really close. You can hear the Baltimore Ravens complaining they don't like the spot. Uzomah, though, right here, just going to run a little shallow cross. Dalton recognizes it. Whew. Man, that's a tough one. I'm sure John Harbaugh would like to challenge it, but it's so hard to get those calls overturned.
Bengals hurry up and get it back into the hands of LaFell after Uzomah gets the 1st down. Powers there on the stop. 8 for 8 now. That's 17 yards to LaFell.
Well, again, it just look at the distance between the DBs and Brandon LaFell. I mean, he's barely in the screen when he catches the ball, Tavon Young. Too easy for a guy like Andy Dalton.
It's 9 for 9 now for Dalton as Pearman takes the handoff and takes it to the 50. Cedric Pearman, 7th-year pro out of Virginia. C.J. Mosley makes the tackle.
The human element is what I find fascinating, because you and I came to practice on Friday and we thought, oh, the Bengals seem relaxed and just ready for the offseason, and Baltimore seemed like they wanted to whoop some butt and end off on a good note. And it certainly is vice versa here watching this game today.
You had that question about how Baltimore would bounce back from the crushing loss to the Steelers. Dalton to the outside. A 10 for 10 start. Cody Core makes the grab and takes it inside the 30. Weddle finally makes the stop as the Bengals are rolling again. This one for 22.
Yeah, and really, he just runs a little slant route here, and you're going to see the DB fall down. Sharice Wright falls down, loses his feet, and it's another big play. This Cody Core, he's got something to him. He's got good size, good speed, another good, young, talented guy on the offensive side of the ball.
Pearman takes the first down, handoff inside the 25. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Tony, Bard, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. We'll update on all the playoff scenarios. Burkhead back in and running back next to Dalton.
It's man-to-man coverage.
Burkhead, inside give, shakes his way, falls forward to the 21. And some shoving between the Bengals and the Ravens, and flags come in. As you said it, Chris, no matter week 17, no playoffs, these teams don't like each other.
True dislike. Baltimore is used to being the big bully on the field. Cincinnati's a physical, tough football team as well. They toe the line of playing to the edge of the whistle.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 50, defense after discipline the goal. Automatic first down.
Albert McClellan.
And, you know, like you said earlier, the Bengals have had the Ravens number. And the Ravens aren't used to that. They're not used to a team kind of out-physicaling them and being a bully to them. They've lost a lot of close football games over the last few years to this Bengals team.
5 straight wins for Cincinnati over Baltimore until the week 12. It ended with the safety out the back of the end zone as time expired. The Baltimore offense holding and getting the multiple penalties, but legal play, Baltimore got the win. First and goal from the 10. Dalton to the end zone. It is almost picked by Weddle. LaFell knocks it away on the first incompletion of the day by Andy Dalton.
Well, I mean, this talks about the brains of Eric Weddle. I mean, he is all over this. You'll see Eric Weddle in the slot. Oh, we missed it there. But regardless, Eric Weddle ran the route. Here we go. You'll see a better view of it here. But it was a little corner route by Brandon LaFell, and you could see Eric Weddle ran the route before Brandon LaFell did. He was playing wide receiver there and almost came down with it.
Nearly the 5th pick of the year for Weddle. Back to the ground. Burkhead straight ahead. Already a touchdown on the day to the 5. 3rd and goal coming up.
He's a good little player, this Rex Burkhead. I mean, to think that you got Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill, and then you got a guy like Burkhead as your 3rd running back who can do just about everything on offense. These are the type of players that make offenses really hard to defend, because he's a joker type player. You can play him at so many different positions. He can be a mismatch nightmare for defenses.
Plano High School to Nebraska. Now the Cincinnati Bengals. On 3rd and goal, Dalton chased out of the pocket. Dalton's going to throw it out the back of the end zone. Second incompletion. So Bullock will come on for the field goal attempt.
Ravens played coverage, rushed 4, dropped 7. Really nobody open there. Andy Dalton, he waited in the pocket. You can see there wasn't a great pass rush, but he made the smart decision there in throwing that ball out of the end zone.
Bengals fans know this well. The kicking game has been an adventure, including the would-be game winner 43-yard miss against the Texans by Bullock. but this 23-yarder is good. So Cincinnati has scored on all 3 possessions to take a 17-3 lead in Week 17.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Live by Night from Warner Brothers Pictures, in theaters January 13th. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Verizon, join a better network because better matters.
Well, per Boomer's instructions, a big send-off for Jack Brennan. There he is in the press box. A sunshiny day, so a little bit of glare, but yeah, big smile on Jack Brennan. 23rd year with the Bengals public relations director, but he worked for the Reds, including the 1990 World Series team, worked for the Cincinnati Post. It's 33 years overall covering Cincinnati sports for the University of Texas alum.
Yeah, hook 'em horns, baby. Great guy.
Moore takes a knee. Flacco and the Ravens get it down 17-3. Back in Cincinnati, home of Terry's Turf Club, home of Arthur Carlson, home of the Cincinnati Bengals, who have dominated on both sides of the football to take a 17-3 edge on Baltimore. Ravens get it after the touchback, 1st and 10 from the 25. Flacco. Downfield and incomplete. Left it high as Smith takes a pop. Flag is down. Sean Williams delivers the blow, and here we go. Fitzpatrick and Smith. It's Fitzpatrick stepping in between Smith and Williams after the big blow draws the flag.
Well, it's certainly going to be a personal foul on defenseless receiver. I don't know what they're going to even say here. I mean, the ball was uncatchable, but Steve Smith was basically out of bounds. It got hit blindsided, and he didn't appreciate it.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 27 defense, late hit, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So the flag is on Kirkpatrick.
See, Flacco tries to fit it in the cover 2 hole here.
That has to be on Williams.
Yeah, I think they're just a little confused. Kirkpatrick was trying to be the peacemaker there. It looked like to both of us.
So the flag was thrown after that hit. 1st and 10 from the 40. Flacco. Penna has it. He takes it across the 50. Another blow delivered by Iloka. The Bengals defense has been stellar.
I mean, they're winning the battle up front. I think that's the first thing you got to talk about. Geno Atkins has had his way with Vladimir DeCoste. And then here, nobody open. And by the time somebody is open, Joe Flacco's got pressure. He's got to get the ball out of his hand. Run game not been there. It's been tough sledding for this Ravens offense. But like we said, this is a good Bengals defense.
Dixon out of the backfield. Dansby forces him out. And you know Steve Smith isn't going to back away from any challenge. Brandon LaFell told us a story about Smith getting 3 screws knocked out of his helmet and still rolling. And Brandon saying, you talk about setting a tone for toughness on a team with Carolina for a young receiver. And LaFell's face.
Fearless. I mean, he's like Mighty Mouse. That's what I look at him as. That's what he is. He's just such a great competitor. And yeah, I'd be careful waking him up right now. Now, a few of these skirmishes, too, they're going to wake up this Ravens team. That's just going to make the game personal a little bit. And they might go, you know, we better get going here. We don't like these guys. Let's not go out like this.
1 catch in the game for Smith for 13 yards. Blitz picked up. Flacco delivers over the middle inside the 30. Takes it to Mike Wallace at the 27-yard line. Kirkpatrick on the stop.
Well, you're going to see that's a little blitz here up the middle. You see the little twist by the inside linebackers. Flacco realizes there's a void there in the defense. It makes a nice throw.
On the ground again, Terrence West trying to shake his way, slips to the outside. West tackled by Ray. Tonight, a 60 Minutes investigation. They are beautiful islands where you can vacation or buy a passport. That's right. Passports and citizenship for sale. Tonight, only CBS.
I like what the Ravens have done here, though, to change the pace. No huddle a little bit. Let's just get up to the line of scrimmage, let Joe Flacco call the game from there, settle down this Bengals defense.
Another quick hitter. Hitter with Wallace blocking on the edge. Takes it to the 15. First down for Baltimore.
This is what they needed. Put the ball in the hands of Joe Flacco. Let him make decisions. Let him make big throws. You'd like to see them run the ball more, but it doesn't seem like it's working a whole lot here. So use the pass game to set up the run later on.
6 plays, 60 yards this drive so far. Flacco delivers. Aiken makes the grab inside the 5. We'll see where he's spotted down, but it's first and goal, Baltimore.
Yeah, great throw here by Joe Flacco. They were trying to work the tight end underneath. The coverage collapsed on him. He saw that. Kamar Aiken did a good job of catching the ball. That was a little behind him. Now we got first and goal for the Ravens.
Spot Aiken down at the 2-yard line. Dixon in the backfield. But first,
Timeout, Cincinnati. Second team timeout, 30-second timeout.
2:35 away. We'll be back in 30 seconds. First and goal for Baltimore from the Cincinnati 2. Flacco on the roll. Intercepted in the end zone. It's picked off. Williams will go down in the end zone. Sean Williams with his 3rd INT of the year. And the Cincinnati defense comes up with another stop.
Wow, well, I guess this is a microcosm, basically, of the Baltimore Ravens offense and Joe Flacco's year. I mean, a number of great plays, great throws, get down here close to scoring a touchdown, and just makes a boneheaded decision here. You see Sean Williams to your right, read the quarterback, make a big play. We'll be back after this commercial break.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by McDonald's. I'm loving it. And by Bud Light. Strike gold and you could win Super Bowl tickets for life.
Banks of the Ohio River, a 17-3 lead for Cincinnati. Joe Flacco was a perfect 5 for 5 on the Baltimore drive until the interception in the end zone. On the ground, Burkhead. Let's go back to that pick by Williams.
Well, you'll see Sean Williams over here. I'm going to just put a little arrow to him. There you go. Sorry about all those arrows. But regardless, he's just going to drop back in a little zone coverage. And he recognizes the play, reads Joe Flacco's eyes. I think both you and I were sitting up here going, oh, I see that guy. I hope Joe does. And he made a nice play and got the interception.
That will take us to the 2-minute warning with Cincinnati in command, 17-3. The Bengals have 2 touchdowns in this game. They have faced 3rd down only twice. 1 for 2 on 3rd down and a 17-3 commanding lead. Inside of the 2-minute warning, down to the outside, complete. That's Cody Core again, blockers ahead. Core takes it across the 40-yard line, dragged down by C.J. Mosley.
Just a little wide receiver screen out to the left, good blocking. And I'm telling you, C.J. Mosley, you'll see him 57 in the middle of your screen there. He does a good job of getting a hold of Cody Core. This could have been another 20 or 30 yards.
Hey, go 30, 48, 30,
Good
48.
play call by OC Ken Zampese.
Core 3 catches, 51. LaFell 4 for 35. Dalton pressure, slips away. Now he'll be dropped from behind by Terrell Suggs, officially a 1-yard gain. Let's check in with Jenny.
You see Bengals right tackle Jake Fisher out there, but around the 6-minute mark, he came off the field with his left arm hanging. The trainers looked at it, took him into the locker room, and he's back out onto the field now, but check out that brace on his left shoulder, guys.
Dalton Combs pressured again, shovel toss completes. Burkhead turning something out of nothing. He's still going, fighting his way to the 45-yard line. Mosley makes the stop again. Dalton somehow shovels it to Burkhead, who turns that into a first down.
What an unbelievable play by Andy Dalton. 2 plays in a row, really, just breaking tackles, little shovel pass to Burkhead. I can't say enough about Burkhead right now.
Dalton complete. It's Core tripped up near the 15-yard line with 30 seconds.
Cincinnati 3rd and final team timeout.
Just a slant route again. Cody Core. I mean, this guy's smooth. I like this kid. He's got big potential. And again, it just plays into everything we've been saying with the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens are just, they're not very talented in the secondary. They're one of the slowest secondaries in all of football.
Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher. All the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up. The Verizon Halftime Report. Cody Core, 4 catches, 82 yards. The last one goes for 31, taking it to the 14-yard line. 30 seconds. Cincinnati now out of timeouts.
It's not like we're seeing anything special either. I mean, as far as creative play design, it's slant routes, it's a screen. I'm just amazed by the amount of space around these receivers.
Dalton now 13 for 15 with a touchdown pass. Flags down. False start.
False start. Number 77 offense. 5-yard penalty remains. First down.
The vaunted Cincinnati offensive line. I mean, I say that jokingly, but they have played outstandingly well today despite all of the changes, not only today, but throughout the year. Obwehi's a scratch at left tackle, so Whitworth moves back to left tackle today, just the latest of all those shifts.
It's a lot. I mean, we talked about Fisher. He was backed out, backed up, coming back in. Whitworth is an amazing man to me, too. Just his age, his size, his ability is still top-notch.
Reason to be playing in his 174th game as a Bengal. Dalton punts, rolls, throws complete to the outside. Boyd, he stays inbound, so Boyd doesn't get out. No timeouts, clock ticking, 17. Dalton hurries the Bengals to the line. And now trouble getting him lined up. Burkhead has to go to the left side. 7 seconds. Finally, the spike with 7 seconds left in the half.
I don't really understand the point of moving Burkhead. He was in the backfield. Just keep him there. You need 7 guys in the line of scrimmage. But that was horrible clock mismanagement right there.
That's the first real mistake of the day for the Cincinnati offense. Not getting out of bounds and then not lining up properly for the spike.
Yeah, hey, it's second down. Spike the ball. Give yourself one chance to maybe throw it in the end zone once again, and then you settle for the field goal.
And here comes Bullock for a 24-yard attempt. Made from 23. Play clock winding down. There's the reset. They asked for the reset, got it. Bullock from 23 boots it through. 3 seconds showing as Cincinnati takes a 20-3 lead. What has been a nearly flawless first half for Cincinnati on both sides of the ball, but especially for the offense. A couple confusing plays late, still 3 points on the board, and still a 20-3 lead on Baltimore.
Yeah, the Bengals are certainly controlling the tempo of this game on both sides of the ball. The Ravens had their chance to kind of get back in it, and then Flacco throws the interception in the end zone, and now they're down 17.
Squib picked up by Boyle. And that's officially the end of the first half. The Bengals will receive the second half kickoff. They lead it 20-3. We'll be back with the Verizon Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. It is the end of the season for both Baltimore and Cincinnati, and the Bengals are making a convincing closing statement, 20-3 of the half. Let's take a look at the winning play of the first half, presented by H&R Block. Flacco picked off.
Sorry there, big guy, but it was a huge play. Sean Williams reading Flacco's eyes. That was a 10-point swing. It's going to be a 17-10 football game if Baltimore can score the touchdown. Instead, they don't. The turnover, and Cincinnati gets to go down the field, kick a field goal, and now they're up 20-3.
You know, as we talked to both of these teams, John Harbaugh said, Yeah, I am hearing all the right things from my guys, saying all of those things, but we have to go out and do it. So far, Baltimore obviously has not.
No, they have not. I mean, I think both of us are shocked. We thought Baltimore was kind of the team that was ready to go today, and Cincinnati might be the other team. But no, Cincinnati has come out driven, playing hard, and just being more physical than the Baltimore Ravens right now.
As you take a look at the first half stats, I mean, even with Baltimore, that was a solid drive they put together before the interception in the end zone. That boosted up those yards per play, but it was Cincinnati totally dominating. It's a 20-3 lead for Cincinnati on Baltimore as we get ready for the second half kickoff. Cincinnati won the opening toss and deferred. So Marvin Lewis and the Bengals will take it to begin the second half. Tucker had a kickoff go out of bounds in the first half, leading to Cincinnati on the second drive. Started at the 40-yard line, so early field position for the Bengals. They had it at the 41 on the first drive. Andy Dalton perfect on the first two drives for Cincinnati. In the first half, 14 for 17, 181 yards, a touchdown. Tucker's kickoff from the 35. That will be a touchback as Erickson takes a knee. Cincinnati gets it at the 25. Let's check in with Jenny.
I spoke with head coach Marvin Lewis, and he said he's really pleased with the way that his team has stepped up, making this game one-dimensional. Says we need to maintain and control the tempo and keep taking care of the football. Defensively, the focus is winning on third down. And guys, he said pride is on the line here today.
Well, no question that the Bengals have played with a good amount of pride, I mean, especially for a team that's 5-9-1 on the year, missing the playoffs for the first time in 5 years, and it has been focused on both sides of the football.
Yes, and I don't question whether the Bengals are going to come out here and play with pride. I've already seen enough to know they are, and here shows it again the first play. I am going to question the Baltimore Ravens, though, a little bit. I do think this first drive is going to be very telling after the first half, being down 20-3. Do they want to come out and play football right now and get in a physical, match with the Bengals, or have they kind of chalked it up to the offseason and it's time to go home?
First time since 07, neither of these teams will play in the postseason. Dalton gives to Burkhead again, bouncing outside across the 35-yard line for another Cincinnati first down. Mosley makes the stop. Cincinnati gets another first down with yet again having to face third down. They had just 2 third down plays. Last field goal kick, Cincinnati was on third down, but the offense has faced third down only twice in this game. Play fake. Dalton, check down. It is Pearman who nearly makes a one-handed grab. Incomplete.
Well, the one thing that jumped out to me too is, and John Harbaugh talked about it too, just lack of pressure on the quarterback. Even there, I mean, there was nobody open downfield, but Andy Dalton had nobody around him. I could have gone for something there if Pearman could have brought that in. But man, no third downs. I mean, it's unbelievable. That just speaks to you how they're dominating the game.
On 2nd and 10, Dalton over the middle. A pocket holds up, so he's allowed to complete again to LaFell across the 47-yard line. LaFell's 5th grab of the game. Judon makes a stop.
Yeah, 2nd and 10, open receiver down the field. Here again, you just see they even bring pressure, but there's nobody around Andy Dalton. It's like he's playing 7-on-7 out in practice.
Only 2 third down plays. Burkhead takes it for a gain of 2 back to the 50-yard line. Mosley there on the stop, and Rex Burkhead, the 4th-year pro out of Nebraska, filling in for the injured Jeremy Hill. And you say this Bengals team without so many of the weapons, Green and Hill and Tyler Eifert, and then on the offensive line, Clint Bowling, left shoulder surgery this week. He was a scratch at left tackle, and yet 20 points on the scoreboard. Baltimore having trouble even slowing Cincinnati right now. Burkhead keeps his balance again, tackled by McClellan.
And Carter, I think that's part of the reason I get frustrated with the talk of Marvin Lewis all the time. How about we give Marvin Lewis some credit here in Cincinnati for again, just the banged-up team, but you can see the young talent that's on the field. I don't think Marvin Lewis gets enough credit for his eye for recruiting kids out of college and, of course, free agents in general. He knows the look of what he wants to fit within his scheme with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Dalton on 3rd and 4. That pass is incomplete on just the third down play, intended for LaFell. Sharice right there in coverage. And as we chatted with folks around Cincinnati, I mean, the feeling is with owner Mike Brown and Marvin Lewis and the relationship as tight as it is, that this speculation and kind of rumor mill about whether Marvin Lewis would be back is exactly what Marvin Lewis treated as barely worth discussing.
Yeah, he said it. He goes, I didn't even really want to make a definitive statement or address it because he just thought it was that ridiculous. He had no inclination that he was on the hot seat or anything like that. He's handled himself like a true professional, Marvin Lewis.
Campanaro, fair catch inside the 10 with Lewis's Bengals in command. A winning season is on the line for Baltimore. Not even close for Cincinnati at 5-9-1. But the Bengals have a 20-3 lead. Flacco backed up inside his own 10. On 1st down. That's complete. Pitta on the edge. Drilled by Iloka as soon as he grabs it. Week 17 continues later today on CBS and Fox. Then tonight was Sunday Night Football on NBC. And Detroit a chance at a rare division title. They clinch the NFC North with the win. First round bye with a win, a Seattle loss or tie, and an Atlanta loss. West pushes just short of the 1st down. So the rare division title for the Detroit Lions on the line.
Yeah, certainly. And, you know, how can you got to talk with Matt Stafford. That's where you got to talk about with the Detroit Lions, first of all. No running game, no Megatron. He's been phenomenal. I'm really pumped for this quarterback showdown. These are two guys that are elite candidates for the MVP in my eyes. They've had to do a lot by themselves all year long.
Flacco on 3rd and 1, complete to Pitta for the 1st down to move the chains. 1st and 10, Baltimore.
That was a nice little route by Dennis Pitta there. Had man-to-man coverage. George Iloka, you're going to see Pitta's going to run in and retrace back out. Does a good job. Nice route. I mean, to have that kind of quickness at the tight end position is a great thing for a quarterback.
6 catches by Pitta. Heavy pressure on 1st and 10. Flacco flings it incomplete to the outside. Intended for Brashard Perriman with Kirkpatrick in coverage. Perriman doesn't have a catch yet.
No, and you know, the opposite side for Joe Flacco, Dalton's had a ton of time, nobody around him. Joe Flacco's got somebody around him every time he throws the football.
On 2nd and 10, he's taking the check down. Terrence West gets to near the 30-yard line. Dansby on the stop along with Kirkpatrick. Carlos Dansby, you talked about his play. Did you know this about Carlos Dansby? His Montez Renault brand won the Body Wash of the Year award from Men's Fitness.
I did not know that. You're full of good clues there, Big Carter.
Flacco takes the sack back inside the 16-yard line. And it's Wallace Gilberry who leads the way this time on Flacco.
Well, again, a nice little stunt up front, blitzing Vinny Ray. He does a little cross stunt with Wallace Gilberry, and the Ravens are unable to pick it up. Joe Flacco gets on him so quick, and just trust me out there, people watching the game, there was nobody open anyway, so Joe had nowhere to go with the football.
3rd sack. Gilberry. 2nd stem of the Bengals. Cook boots it away. Erickson bobbles it. Erickson still loose. Has to go all the way back to the 10 to grab it. And now Erickson driven back at the 13-yard line where the forward progress is stopped. Dalton and the Bengals get the football.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. New York Life. With the right guidance, everyone can be good at life. And by the All-In Burger from Applebee's.
Time to pack up the Christmas tree, the menorah, the rest of the holiday decorations. It's 2017. Bengals playing well so far. LaFell makes the grab on the edge on the screen.
I want to see you on skates.
No, you don't. No, you don't. At least not with a camera around.
Okay.
Guaranteed. Usually ends in a trip to the hospital. The quarterback comparison, Andy Dalton has the advantage over Joe Flacco, clearly.
Yes, I mean, Andy Dalton, this offense for the Bengals has been truly efficient machine today. He's been throwing the ball great on the run, in the pocket, however way he's found necessary. And then Joe Flacco, he's really done some good things other than that dumb interception there down in the red zone. But other than that, man, when he's had a little time, he's fit the ball into a lot of tight spaces.
Burkhead picks up with another first down. 75 rushing yards for Burkhead. Give it to him again. This is one of the things you wanted to see out of Cincinnati today. Don't go away from the run, even with a banged-up line and no Jeremy Hill.
Yes, you get too one-dimensional against a Baltimore Ravens defense like this. Dean Pease is too smart. He'll play too many creative coverages. He's going to throw it all the time. And I want to see them run the ball, not only to keep Baltimore honest, but it helps protect Andy Dalton. He is your quarterback. You don't want to get hurt going into the offseason.
That's all working today. On 2nd and 9, that one incomplete at the feet of LaFell. Gerard Powers in coverage. Dalton 16 for 22, 200 yards. One touchdown pass to Uzama, his first career.
I do like, the Bengals too. They have these moments of not really huddling up. Catching Baltimore off by surprise.
That time Weddle coming on the blitz to put the pressure on Dalton.
Yeah, Weddle comes with a weak safety blitz here. You're going to see him to the right of your screen. They can't pick him up. There's too many bodies for the protection. And Dalton tries to throw a nice soft ball so Cody Core can get to it. Just has to throw it a little too early. Can't see Cody Core come out of the break.
Huber boots it away. Emanero backing up. Has it at the 21. Emanero forced out of bounds near the 32-yard line. 20-3. Bengals on the Ravens.
Hi, I'm Joe Flacco of the Baltimore Ravens, and I just want to wish everyone a Happy New Year.
Flacco closing in on Vinny Testaverde's franchise record with passing yards in the season. The inside kid to Kenneth Dixon. As we talked to Joe yesterday about the Week 16 tough loss Christmas in Pittsburgh, he said it was absolutely disappointing. Very difficult game. But he also talked about how awesome that environment was to play in.
Yes, he did. And that does mean something as a player. I mean, it's a great rivalry. It was one of the two games on Christmas Day. Had playoff implications. You could feel the electricity in the air watching the game on TV. And he was in a lot of ways, I think, very proud of his offensive side of the ball and how they responded all game long, made plays, gave them a chance to win the game at the end with the big touchdown by Juszczyk. Of course, the defense didn't hold up, but I think Flacco was looking at the positive side of things going into the 2017 season, knowing that his guys are gamers and they're ready to go.
The MVP of Super Bowl 47, facing 3rd and 6 here. With Smith in motion, locked up with Adam Jones. Over the middle, Flacco looks to him, finds Steve Smith, turns the corner and has a first down. And number 89 comes through on 3rd down.
Little Sean Williams action there. I mean, this is why you love this guy. First of all, I mean, look at the speed. Here he's going to come on a little shallow cross, catches the ball. Oh, I'm 37 years old. I still can outrun you to the edge. And then throws his body, ready to hit. And look at him. He is awesome. I love him. I really do.
Took the big blow from Williams earlier in the game. So that's why they're talking with Williams there, as Flacco does break the single-season franchise record. Testaverde in the first year of the Ravens.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Amazon Prime. Get free 2-day shipping on millions of items. And by Duracell. The ones you trust are always there.
Steve Smith's second catch of the day. What is likely his final NFL game. Makes it 1st and 10. Flacco over the middle. Dropped by Pitta over the middle. Vincent Ray was the injured Cincinnati Bengal on that last play in pursuit of Smith.
Yeah, not sure what happened there, but he came up a little lame. Maybe, you know, I don't want to speculate, but certainly it looked like a little leg injury, maybe hamstring, calf muscle, something along those lines.
Pitta makes this grab as he takes it to near the 40-yard line. Dansby on the stop. Ray in the starting lineup for Cincinnati today in place of the injured Vontaze Burfict, knee and concussion injury. So see a lot more of number 59, Nick Vigil, with both Burfict and Ray out now.
Hey, Ronnie!
3rd and 2, Dixon straight ahead. Dixon spun down at the 30-yard line by Iloka. Tonight on CBS, when someone is kidnapped, this is the team that brings them back alive. Catch the series premiere of the new thriller, Ransom. Tonight after 60 minutes, only CBS. The last penetration by Baltimore deep into Cincinnati territory resulted in the interception in the end zone. West takes the handoff, flag down.
Holding. Number 74 offense. 10-yard penalty, still 1st down.
You know, the thing with the Joe Flacco, you know, there was a lot made about, oh, he's never had the 4,000-yard passing season. You know, it's, so what? Who cares? This is not a team that's built to have great quarterback stats. I mean, this is a defensive team really throughout Joe Flacco's career. Joe Flacco is one of the better quarterbacks in football. I don't care what his stats say.
Wallace on the outside. I mean, would you rather have a Super Bowl ring or 4,000 passing yards?
Exactly right. And then, you know, they're not, like I said, they're not set up for big numbers. A lot of times they've been a running football team. It's control the line of scrimmage. Ray Lewis was here for all those years. They played through their defense and then said, oh, it's 3rd and long. Joe, make a big-time throw for us. And he's been able to do that. But who cares about stats? Blake Bortles threw for 4,500 yards last year. Joe Flacco is on a different planet than Blake Bortles, so I don't really sit there and look at numbers and go, oh, that justifies it. 4,000-yard career, now he's a legit NFL passer. You know, Joe Flacco is one of the best arms we got in the game. He hasn't had a ton of talent around him his whole career, nor a system that helped his numbers out.
3rd and 4, Bengals show pressure up the middle. Here they come. Quick slant, caught Smith. 1st down inside the 20-yard line. After the holding, it was 1st and 20, but they convert. Let's check in again with JB and Boomer.
Brady.
Hey, Chris Sims, watch how you read a blitz and you drop it off to Julian Edelman. Then watch how you block downfield. That's Michael Floyd. Lay it out. Tony Lippett of the Miami Dolphins. New England answers Miami's touchdown. They take the lead 27-14. What a game.
Now, Chris Sims read blitz as well, did he not?
You know.
Oh, guys, back to Carter.
That there from
My work dad, Boomer Esiason.
flag down again, incomplete pass. We'll check the flag.
Yeah, Tom Brady's awesome. I also get frustrated when they say he has no weapons because Julian Edelman would start for everybody in football.
There are fouls by both teams on the play. Holding number 62, roughing the passer number 97. The penalties will offset. 1st down.
Yeah, clearly a hold by DeCoste. And, you know, that's ticky-tack for me. Yes, he throws the ball away. I mean, it's a step and a half. Okay. But he didn't lead with his head. He just pushed him. I probably wouldn't have thrown that flag on the quarterback hit.
On 1st and 10, Flacco checked down again. That's West. West fights his way through the first contact to the 12, and finally finished off by Nick Vigil. So,
yes.
Yeah, he has been pressured throughout the game.
He has, and even when he hasn't had pressure, there's just people by his feet. He's the pocket is collapsing in a hurry. Now, they're not totally healthy on their offensive line either. We need to point that out for sure. This is definitely a good defensive line with Cincinnati Bengals.
Flacco over the middle, complete. That's Perriman with his first catch. Short of the first down. Dansby makes the stop. Third down coming up.
Rashad Perriman, certainly a guy that needs to rise.
Number 72 is reporting eligible. 72 is eligible.
But as I was saying, Rashad Perriman, he's a guy that needs to take that next step next year. First round pick in the 2015 draft. Did some positive things this year, but they need him to be a takeover type talent at the wide receiver position.
6 straight completions for Flacco. Campanaro in motion. The toss back, it's incomplete. Intended for the eligible offensive lineman, Alex Lewis. There is a flag down. The play with Yonda out there blocking for Lewis. It's incomplete with the flag.
There's no foul in the play. Number 72 reported eligible. Fourth down.
They had it set up with Yonda blocking ahead for Lewis.
They did, but he is a offensive lineman.
Fourth down, offense staying on the field.
Yes, they are. Well, John Harbaugh wants to win the game. They're down by 17, and he figures they got nothing to lose on a day like this.
So, fourth down from the 8. One fourth down conversion already. Let's go over the middle, knocked away, incomplete. Intended for Pitta. It's Nick Vigil, the rookie out of Utah State, who knocks it away. Vigil's in there because Perfect a scratch, Ray injured, and the rookie, the former Aggie, knocks it down with a fourth down stop. The Ravens have
Number
had drives
73 has reported eligible.
All right.
73 is eligible.
The Ravens have had drives of 11 plays and 13 plays that resulted in 0 points. That's a rarity. Dalton, the Bengals take over. Burkhead gets the handoff. Another solid burst on the second effort by Burkhead. Let's go back to the fourth down stop.
Well, you'll see Pitta's right here. He's going to run a little return route once again. They've run this play about 5 times already this game. And I just think they went to the well one too many times. And Nick Vigil, a.k.a. Sean Lee Jr., that's what he looks like to me when I watch him on film. He is a phenomenal pass coverage linebacker, a guy that certainly has a role in the NFL with all these great tight ends and pass-catching running backs in the league right now.
Fackrell and Zach Vigil of Utah State. Great linebacker core. Screen for Burkhead on 2nd and 4. Room to run ahead across the 25-yard line. Burkhead carrying the load in the second half for Cincinnati.
Really nice play design once again. Little play action to Burkhead. Ravens blitzing. Guy's a weapon, man, and it's just a good job with the lineman downfield, getting bodies on defenders to give him some space to run.
Burkhead, the 4th-year pro out of Nebraska, gets a much-deserved break. So it's Pierman in and running back, trying to cut back after Mosley made the contact. Nothing doing there on first down. Thought your fantasy season was over? It's not. Sign up free and learn more at NFL.com/playoff challenge. Burkhead still on the sideline. Pierman back out there last year, a Pro Bowl player as a special team star. Bengals since 2010. And without Jeremy Hill, Burkhead and Pierman in the backfield. Pierman's going to take it on 2nd and 10.
The one thing we're starting to see here, Carter, Baltimore's realizing they got to do something to kind of create their own luck, like we said with the Home Depot tools to success. Starting to see more pressure, more people at the line of scrimmage, a little more go for broke from DPs. I think he realizes the offense might not be able to score a ton of points here. He's going to see if he can get Weddle to get a sack, something on the defensive side to confuse Andy Dalton and maybe the pass protection.
Missing the playoffs for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. Cincinnati missed the playoff for the first time in 5 years. Dalton will be sacked by Elvis Dumerville. Plays dead. Judon picking it up, taking it to the end zone, doesn't matter. Dumerville has his 3rd sack of the year for the 11th year pro out of Louisville. Had the sack fumble versus Dalton to seal the Week 12 win. That's going to send us to the 4th quarter with Cincinnati on top of Baltimore 20-3 in Week 17. 4th quarter will begin with a punt from Cincinnati. After the sack of Dumerville on Dalton, here's Kevin Huber. 8th-year player who spent his entire football career at Cincinnati. High school, McNichols High School, University of Cincinnati. Now, Campanero waits for it at the 30-yard line. 10 yards on the return. Let's go back to that sack by Dumerville on Andy Dalton.
Elvis Dumerville, an ex-teammate of mine. You guys, the camera guys asked me if I had any ex-teammates. I forgot about Elvis Dumerville, but it was close to being a fumble. We looked at it a few times. Andy Dalton's knee was down before the ball came out. Dumerville beat the 2nd-year Eric Fisher out of Oregon, 2nd-year player. But this is something this Baltimore team is going to have to talk about in the offseason. Maybe adding another pass rusher, probably another few people in their secondary in general, just to improve the speed and playmaking abilities of this team.
Flacco 1st and 10 over the middle, complete hit up again, diving forward again. Dansby on the stop. Dumerville making the sack there. We talked about the end of that Week 12 game when the Ravens got after Andy Dalton and the offensive line. It was a dominant close to that game for Baltimore defensively. They trailed 20-3 here. Needing a flare at the end of the season. Flacco is going to lead that incomplete. Got back to the line of scrimmage. Now, Marvin Lewis is going to make a case for grounding. We'll see.
Look at Steve Smith at the top of the screen here. I do think he was open. I don't know why Joe didn't give him the ball there. I guess he just couldn't maybe see because of people in his face. It is close to being intentional grounding. I do think the refs are up here looking at the replay screen right now.
And the question is, where did the ball cross out of bounds?
Right.
Because Flacco's in the pocket. It has to cross.
Intentional grounding. Number 14, 10-yard penalty. And lost it down. We'll put this ball at the 31-yard line.
So it's just like when you see a punt go out of bounds. They're looking at what yard line did that football go out of bounds. Is it out of bounds short of the line of scrimmage, even though it travels past the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I guess so. It did get past because it does continue out of bounds, but he never got outside the tackle box, as you can see. He never leaves it. He drifts back, but he never went to the width there. He threw the ball basically from the hash mark. So certainly in the pocket, that was the right call by the referees.
So intentional grounding the call after the discussion. Backs Baltimore into 3rd and 18. Over the middle, complete. Pitta to the 40, the original line of scrimmage. 9th catch for Pitta, and you can see Flacco with the shoulders slumping a little bit, headed back to the sideline. They'll have to punt down 20-3 in the season finale.
Yes, and you know, if this was a manageable 4th down, I think John Harbaugh might have gone for it. But 4th and 10, I don't think that's the wisest decision. He's doing the right thing by punting this out.
Cook punts. Both Jones and Erickson are back. Adam Jones takes it just inside the 15. Across the 25-yard line. Jones be marked down at the 28. Bengals rolling. We're showing you number 20 for Cincinnati, Kamari Russell. Number 17, Mike Wallace for Baltimore. 20-17.
These tricky camera guys.
Our director today is Andy Friedman. Our producer is Scott Brandwine. On 1st and 10, here's Burkhead. Still getting another push for another first down. Coming up next, the Raiders look to win the AFC West in their season finale against the Broncos, while the Chiefs try to stay in the divisional race against the Chargers. Check local listings. Oakland clinches home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. An Oakland win plus a New England loss. So rooting hard for Miami to come back as that game nears the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, and regardless, they got to win their game just to hold on to the number 2 seed so they can get that first round bye. If they lose, Kansas City wins. Kansas City will be the number 2 seed in the AFC.
Hand is up.
Dalton to Burkhead again. Man in the backfield, and he is dropped by Timmy Jernigan. So Kansas City clinches the AFC West and a first round bye with the win combined with the Oakland loss.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's a big game. Hey, Oakland Raiders, you get to go to Denver and play a mad Denver Broncos defense week 17. We're hearing talks that Gary Kubiak could retire after the game. So that's interesting to see that dynamic play out. But these Oakland Raiders, they're a good football team. They're not out of this just because Matt McCoy's the quarterback.
Dalton, second and 11, incomplete to the outside for LaFell.
I saw it happen firsthand in my own life with my father and Jeff Hostetler. The Giants with the number 2 seed in the NFC playoffs. My dad was having one of the greatest years of his career in 1990. Broke his foot against the Buffalo Bills and Bruce Smith in like week 14 of the NFL season. And the Giants rallied around Jeff Hostetler. He played really clutch in some big moments, and they went on to upset the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl 25.
You brought it up, not me.
Yeah, it's all right. It hurt me at the time, but now I'm over it.
Right.
I'm a grown-up.
I wanted to say that came from a Sims. On third and 11, incomplete. Pressure by Terrell Suggs on Andy Dalton, who does a little chatting with Mr. Dalton, as well as with Pete Morelli. So it's another punt coming up for Cincinnati. Yes, the game's 20-3. It's week 17. Neither of these teams going to the playoffs, but for the Bengals, after a stellar first half, they scored on every drive in the first half, have not scored in the second half. Punts, the 4 drives so far for the Bengals in the second half. Here was punt. McNarrow backs up, cracks it at the 11. Steps out of bounds short of the 30, sending us to commercial.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Cricket Wireless. Something to smile about. Papa John's, official pizza sponsor of the NFL. And by the Lincoln Motor Company.
Earlier this month, Adam Jones, Vontaze Burfict, Andrew Whitworth helped spread the holiday cheer by surprising more than 250 students at Lincoln Heights Elementary with brand new bikes. Third year, Jones has purchased bicycles for kids. Second for Burfict, Whitworth joining him this year. Flacco's pass complete to Perriman. Talk about Adam Jones, who makes the stop there. 10th year pro, and you know about everything that happened off the field early in his career. He is playing at a very high level at this point late in his career.
I am glad you brought it up because I've been meaning to bring it up throughout the game. I mean, he's still a phenomenal football player. I'm amazed. I mean, I think that's the first thing you and I said to each other when we met each other here in Cincinnati. Adam Pac-Man Jones, year 10 in the NFL, to be running and moving the way he does at the cornerback position. Cornerback, is there a harder position in sports? Oh yeah, go cover the best athletes in the world who are really fast and just man them up and run around with them like you're a cheetah. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's doing, and he doesn't get enough respect for how well he has played this year.
Go, 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 go!
On second and 9, Dansby coming on the blitz. Flacco finds Pitta for the 10th time in the game. Michael Johnson makes a stop. Short of the first down, third down coming up. With the off-season beginning as soon as this one is done for Baltimore and Cincinnati. So decisions ahead, not only for Steve Smith, made it all but certain this is the end of his NFL career, but John Harbaugh, Ravens GM Ozzie Newsome, 3rd and 2. Pitta makes the grab, moves the chains. Iloka on the stop. So what does the offseason look like for Baltimore?
Yes, it's going to be an interesting offseason. They got some tough decisions to make with veteran players who are getting towards the end of their career and, of course, the prime part of their career. But they're going to have to address, I think, of course, edge pass rushers, probably get another receiver or two.
1st and 10, Juszczyk, a Pro Bowl fullback to the 40.
get another receiver or two to help Joe Flacco out. And then the big thing is just speed in the secondary as well. That's the biggest thing. They have really been hamstrung by their inability to play man-to-man in certain situations because they just don't have that shutdown corner. Jimmy Smith, he's the best guy they got. They're a good corner. He's a good corner.
Perriman makes the grab on the cross, gets past Dansby, slips away. Perriman inside the 5. Perriman stretches. He has the goal line. Touchdown, Baltimore. Rashad Perriman, a 40-yard touchdown from Joe Flacco.
There we go. That's why they drafted this kid out of the University of Central Florida. I mean, his whole thing coming out of college was speed. He's dealt with some knee issues and things like that here early on in his career, but this has happened a few times this year. I think he catches people a little off guard with his long strides. They don't think he's moving quite as fast as he really is, but he can turn into something special.
Just the 4th touchdown of the year for Rashad Perriman.
And just to end my point there, this secondary becomes really average without Jimmy Smith. That's what I really wanted to say there before Rashad Perriman caught the big play.
Touchdown under review. We step aside.
After reviewing the play, the runner's elbow is down. He's short of the goal line. The ball will be spotted inside the 1-yard line.
So the call is overturned. Touchdown comes off the board. Smith credited with the tackle on Perriman at the 1.
Yeah, watch as he turns down here. You'll see his right elbow hit the ground just before the ball crosses. I think it was the proper call. I'm sure John Harbaugh's like, well, how do you call that one and not some of the other ones
Number
earlier
72
in the game?
has reported eligible. 72 is eligible.
Any part of the body other than the hand or the foot, he's down. So the elbow down, 1st and goal, Baltimore. And on to Dixon, stretching short, 2nd and goal. Dixon just shy of the goal line. Rookie running back from Louisiana Tech. Still a nice catch and run there by Perriman to set up what's now the 2nd and goal situation.
Still some physical football being played down there. I mean, you can hear the cracking of the pads. On Baltimore here, I want to see them run it again. Give it to Kenneth Dixon. Let's see him running some of these short yardage power situations.
Here is Dixon, cuts it back, 2nd effort, stretching for the touchdown. Dixon stopped initially, but reaches across for the Baltimore touchdown. The 39-yard play from Perriman sets it up. And the touchdown run for Kenneth Dixon. Just his 2nd rushing touchdown of the year. Rookie from Louisiana Tech. 87 touchdowns in his college career. 2nd only to his now teammate, Keenan Reynolds. Tucker for the PAT, 20-10 with 8:37 to go on the first Baltimore touchdown.
Well, this is what we've seen from Kenneth Dixon. That's what's so impressive about him. I mean, that's Marquise Flowers, I believe, who hits him there, and he bounces off, regains his balance, gets in the end zone. But that's the one thing that's jumped out when you really study them. The Baltimore Ravens, Kenneth Dixon makes a lot of people miss in space with his quickness. And then he can run with this physicality you saw right there. Baltimore Ravens got to be very excited about what he can bring to the table going forward.
Well, he made a tough 3rd and 1 run versus Pittsburgh. I mean, yes. He is a tough guy to bring down.
He really is. And, you know, Terrence West, the other guy they got at running back too, he's very good as well in some of those situations. Dixon, you'll see here, wearing number 28 of Louisiana Tech. He was one of my favorite running backs coming out in the draft. Does everything. He's got good speed when he gets to break out in the open as well. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He will be their number 1 running back going forward. You know, the big thing with rookie running backs and all that, he dealt with some injuries, but it's always what? It's the pass protection issue. Can he pick up the blitzes and some of the confusing looks you get in the NFL as compared to college? They seem to think he is going in the right direction with all of that.
Tucker's kickoff. Taken near the goal line by Erickson. Runs it out across the 15. Dropped to the 16-yard line. So Cincinnati, I mean, a 10-for-10 passing start for Andy Dalton. 2 touchdown drives, 2 field goal drives in the first half. But nothing on the board and only 66 yards of offense in the second half.
Yeah, certainly been a little more conservative. I think we've seen that. We've seen them open up some holes in the run game. But they've had some penalties that have hurt them, things like that that have thrown them off schedule. But I would think we're going to start to see somewhat of a little more aggressive approach on this drive. Maybe a play action pass or something right here off the bat.
Extended handoff to Burkhead, pushing to the 20. Burkhead, who's from Plano, Texas, mentioned he went to Nebraska and formed a friendship there. Well, Jack Hoffman and Team Jack, now 10 years old. They got a trip invited to the White House, and Rex Burkhead off the field has always been a solid member of the football community, and now as he takes over a bigger role with the Bengals, you're seeing on the field in the NFL how he can play a big role for Cincinnati in the future. There's the fake, Dalton on the roll, downfield. LaFell makes the catch, tiptoeing on the sidelines. LaFell makes the grab. The Baltimore sideline disagrees.
Yeah, they did. They were mad about it, so this must be close. But we've seen this how many times today already from LaFell and Andy Dalton. Dalton throws the ball great on the run. Oh, and it's clearly in. Does a good job of dragging that right foot. Left foot down, right foot drags. Easy call for the refs. Great throw by Andy Dalton.
Red flag goes back in. Already one challenge. Baltimore did not win. That's the 7th catch by LaFell. Burkhead again. Ravens ready for it. Weddle and Williams combine on the stop. Sunday, January 22nd, 18 people will go on the run from a team of expert hunters. CBS presents the real-life thriller Hunted, premiering Sunday, January 22nd, after the AFC Championship game, only CBS. Rex Burkhead, 22 carries, 96 yards and a touchdown. 2 catches for 25 yards out of the backfield. That's a career-high rushing yards. But Jeremy Hill out with a knee strain suffered in week 15. Barely shared only 7 carries last week. Dalton second and 11. Overshoots Tyler Boyd. Flag down. For 10 start for Dalton, 8 for 17 cents.
Illegal motion, number 11, moving forward at snap. Penalties declined. 3rd down.
Baltimore takes the incompletion.
Yeah, LaFell wasn't set. You got to be, everyone out in the offense has to be set for a full 1 second or 1 count. That was not the case there. That's why they got the penalty.
Have you right. No.
Low snap handled by Dalton. Stepping up, pressure. Judon chases him. And a big pop between 2 Baltimore defenders. Judon and Owasso meet each other on the tackle on Dalton, and Judon is down. And that collision with Patrick Owasso. Good to see Judon get back up on his feet. Owasso as well.
Yeah, you see this a lot in the NFL week to week. Defensive players really hurting their own players. We call this friendly fire in the NFL locker room. Dalton slides. Owasu's trying to make a hit on the quarterback and hits his own player.
It's another punt. 5 possessions in the second half for Cincinnati. 5 punts from Kevin Huber after he called on it all in the first half. Habanero will let it bounce into the end zone. Touchback will bring it out to the 20-yard line. Baltimore back in it.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Garmin Fitness. Let's beat yesterday. And by Subway. Search for better.
NFL Network following Steve Smith this week, including our meeting with Steve last night. And we talked to Steve Smith about what is almost certainly his final football game. Go over the middle, it's incomplete. Dansby intended for Steve Smith. So this is Steve Smith today.
Yeah, this is where a nice little in cut over the middle, playing with physicality. Look, guy still can run, turn in the corner there. Then he takes the big hit from Sean Williams early in the game. He tried to return the favor later on in the game with a catch down the sideline.
Flacco, time to throw. Here's a deep shot intended for Smith. It's incomplete. Downfield, Kirkpatrick in coverage. Let's check in with JB and Boomer.
New England forces a turnover, and
Damian Williams fumbles. They take it all the way back inside the 10-yard line. LeGarrette Blount takes it over from there. That's his 18th rushing touchdown of the season. Two-point play was good. 35-14. Patriots, please, look to secure the #1 seed in the AFC.
Carter, Chris, and Jenny.
Closing in on that home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. Flacco, 3rd and 10 over the middle. Perriman makes the grab. Wrestled down. Vigil makes the stop at the 25-yard line. So you got 4th down coming up with 5:17.
Yeah, it's week 17. You're going for it. You're down by 10 points. The clock is running down here as we go. I mean, it's 5:10 left in the 4th quarter. The frustrating thing for me watching this Ravens team is how many times are we going to see a ball thrown to a shallow cross over the middle for 4 yards? Can they throw the ball outside the numbers, an out route, a comeback route, something like that? If you're playing the Baltimore Ravens, you just have to defend over the middle of the field, and there's really nothing else.
On 4th and 5, Flacco looking for Perriman, knocked away, incomplete. Kirkpatrick knocks it away from Perriman, and Cincinnati takes over with a 10-point lead and 4:44.
There's a really cool defense here. They blitzed everybody, basically, and played cover 2 behind it. Joe Flacco, usually, you see there, he's got safety help for Dre Kirkpatrick. Usually when you get that type of a defense, you get one-on-one matchups outside. But great play design by defensive coordinator Paul Gunther there to dial that up, and I think it caught Flacco by surprise that there was a safety over there to help out Kirkpatrick.
1 for 3 on 4th down conversions today for Baltimore. So Cincinnati takes over. Dalton under center. Give it to Burkhead, already a career-high 96 rushing yards. And you can tack on 5 more, so over 100 rushing yards on the day for the 4th-year pro from Nebraska, Rex Burkhead. Still 4:25 to go in this one. We talked about Baltimore's offseason ahead. Cincinnati, almost certainly a top 10 pick coming in the draft. But the Bengals offseason needs.
Yeah, the Bengals, listen, they got a lot of things in place. I think they got to figure out what they want to do with Andrew Whitworth going forward. The guard Zeitler, how they want to play that out. They got young guys coming up the ranks, and Fisher and Obwehi, who are talented guys from the 2015 draft. Their 1st and 2nd round picks. So they can go a lot of different directions here. You can look for an elite defensive lineman probably there. If they wanted to bolster their offense, which I don't think they really need, they could do that as far as the receiver position. And then, of course, you can get a top-tier offensive lineman at in the top 10 as well. Certainly that left tackle from Alabama looked like he is a top 10 pick. And speaking of Alabama, that's C.J. Mosley. But this is to end the point, Carter, this is a Bengals team that doesn't need a whole lot. There's still a lot of talent on both sides of the football. I just think it's sprinkling in a guy here and there. And then, of course, maybe just being a little more detailed and hopefully not getting so injured throughout the year next year.
So you see Cincinnati bouncing back quickly from the 5-9-1 at this point?
I really do, yes. I just think you got to look at the offense and you go, wow, if we got Eifert and those 2 running backs and Hill and Bernard back, and then you go Boyd and LaFell opposite of A.J. Green, and Cody Core coming up here. There's a lot of positive things. Young offensive lineman. The defensive line, I think that's the #1 thing they need. They need a legit pass rusher. Carlos Dunlap, Michael Johnson, very good players. Don't get me wrong. But you need another guy like you see with the Kansas City Chiefs, the Oakland Raiders. They got Khalil Mack and Justin Houston. A lot of the elite teams in football have that one, we have to fix our pass protection to stop this guy coming off the edge. And the Bengals did not have that this year. I think that's one area they could address.
Saw A.J. Green on the sideline, still Pro Bowl selection for the 6th Pro Bowl in 6 years.
All the way. It's a shame. He was probably having the best year of his career as well.
Hands up!
Out of the eye, it's Pierman in at running back, who takes it inside the 15-yard line. Brandon Williams there on the stop as the Bengals seek to run the football, run the clock, and run out.
It's the one thing I really liked about what Ken Zampese, the offensive coordinator for the Bengals, did this year is I saw more route variation from A.J. Green. In years past, A.J. Green was the guy that they said, you know, run a go route, run a post. If you're open, we'll throw it to you. But most likely you're going to be doubled, and you'll help other guys get open. This year, you got to see him run more of the underneath routes, the little option routes from the slot every now and then. And he certainly showed that he's capable of doing all those things.
Well, this is troubling for the Ravens as C.J. Mosley, who has taken over a leadership role this Baltimore defense as the man in the middle, is carted off, the 3rd-year pro from Alabama. Burkhead back-handed running back, pushes it inside the 10. Burkhead wrestled down inside the 5. 1st and goal for Cincinnati. Mosley is carted off.
There's Mosley, 57. But something with that lower left leg. It's hard in those piles. I don't know how more guys don't get hurt more often, really, with all these big bodies falling all over each other. Hope he's okay, though. He is one heck of a player.
Cincinnati trying to punch it in as they lead the clock, up by 10. Burkhead stopped. Let's check in with Jenny.
You just saw C.J. Mosley get carted off the field there. As he was getting carted off, some fans in the stands reached down and said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "It's my left calf." So guys, left calf injury for C.J. Mosley.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Timeout for Baltimore at 2:23. So in all likelihood here in a 20-10 game, Steve Smith Sr. closing in on the end of his 16-year run in the National Football League. And as we talked to Steve yesterday, he said, all right, everyone talks about love of football. What does that mean to you? He said, honestly, it's my first love. With as much love as I have for wife and family, this is the first thing I ever fell in love with. Facing the end of the competitive football career. As Burkhead will take it in for his 2nd touchdown. All but seal it for Cincinnati.
You know, going back to Steve Smith, phenomenal career, phenomenal guy in all ways. Enjoyed watching him play, and you're right, Carter. That's what it's like. It's what it was like for me. It's like losing a loved one in your life when football is taken away from you. And of course, he's played a lot longer than I ever did, and at a much higher level. So it does. It hurts your heart, and I totally could understand him. I cried for a year after my last year at playing football.
Bullock's PAT is good, 27-10. And that's exactly what Steve Smith said. He said, I know this about what's ahead, post-football. I will grieve for the loss of the competition because you just can't do anything post-football to replicate the competition. The numbers are all there, and yet there's still somewhat of a question mark as to whether Steve Smith will be in camp.
I think it is a legit question. I really do. He's an NFL legend for sure. We know that. Hall of Famer in the era of inflated offensive numbers, you know, I'm not so sure about that. If you stuck a gun to my head and you said, is Steve Smith a Hall of Famer? I would probably say no. People might get mad at me out there, but I would probably say no. My argument would be, has Steve Smith ever been one of the 5 best receivers in the game in a single season? He's always one of the better receivers in football, but is he a true superstar Hall of Famer like a Randy Moss or a Terrell Owens was, or Jerry Rice? I'm not sure. It's going to be very dicey. I'll be interested to see how it plays out after 6 years.
As we talked about his football journey. Yeah, he's a 49ers fan, but he said he always liked Tim Brown.
Yeah, right.
And so you think about Steve Smith and Tim Brown, and comparisons to be made.
Yes, there definitely is. And you know, there's guys like Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt who also have big numbers just like Steve Smith, and they're not in the Hall of Fame yet either.
But here in Week 17 with Cincinnati up 27-10, we got to give the love to Rex Burkhead with a career-high 119 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. He had 1 touchdown in his career, 2 today to close out the 2016 season.
I mean, just runs so hard. I mean, you see all the arm tackles he runs through, puts his head down, just runs through piles, can make people miss, has deceiving speed. And of course, he's a great threat out of the backfield, catching the football as well.
Ryan Mallett is in at quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. A 6th-year pro out of Arkansas. Screen. That's complete to Kenneth Dixon. He's going to take it across the 35. Ryan Mallett from Texarkana, Texas.
Big quarterback. Played at Arkansas under Bobby Petrino. He can spin it. I was with him up in New England when I worked there.
That will take us to the 2-minute warning. 27-10, Cincinnati. Joe Flacco coming over to Steve Smith, knowing that with 2 minutes left, Flacco and Smith no longer in the game. This is likely the last time that they will be on a sideline together. Mallett in at quarterback. Mallett's going to take a deep shot for Perriman downfield, and it is intercepted by Russell. Kamari Russell, the rookie from Notre Dame, claimed off a Raiders from Kansas City with the interception for the minute 53.
Some catch there by Kamari Russell. There's another, you know, talk about Marvin Lewis and the things he does that are smart. This is another good pickup off the waiver wire. This kid's got some talent. I liked him coming out of Notre Dame. Got hurt, a knee issue his last year playing football there, but great catch. Looks like he got the knee in bounds.
Meanwhile, back on that Baltimore sideline, Steve Smith.
Come on, can that guy get out of the way, please? Can you move? We're trying to watch Steve Smith.
Well, as we talk to, talk to Steve, I mean, you're talking about year 16 of his professional career, and for this game, Week 17, yeah, no playoffs on the line and all of that. He said for this game, nervous, excited, overwhelmed. Said he didn't want his family in the stands today because he said he thought it would be too much to walk out on the football field, look up, and see his family here for what is all but certainly his final game. Dalton still in at quarterback, Perriman the handoff.
I feel for him. It is rough, especially for a guy that's as competitive as he is. All the days he's had of coming out here on Sundays, playing well. You know, you wake up your whole life, and the first thing as a football player, you wake up, the first thing you think of in the morning is, okay, what am I going to do today to become a better football player? And then all of a sudden, at the age of 37, which you're really a young man, but in the NFL world, you're an old man, you go, man, I'm just supposed to stop what I'm doing and totally change my course of life and what I do professionally. Not very easy. It's why you see a lot of ex-players struggle with that second phase or second career. Something that I'm sure Steve Smith has woken up every day since he's a young teenager thinking about, how am I going to become a better football player? How am I going to get to the NFL? And all those thoughts kind of go down the drain here once you're done playing and at the end of your career.
The only wide receiver from the 2001 or 2002 draft class still playing in the National Football League on Week 17. One of the most respected men in the National Football League, Steve Smith. And while Cincinnati is going to claim a 27-10 win, The respect on the sideline from the Baltimore Ravens, all of football, all of sports, for Steve Smith. He left a little bit of a question mark as to whether he would come back for season 17, but told us yesterday, packed up the house, left the key, and there was a finality as Marvin Lewis pays his respects to Steve Smith and the remarkable football career.
I'm just going to miss all his catchy phrases. Ice up, son. That's one of the all-time greats. I mean, even this week, I'm 89% sure. He's just very quick-witted. Great personality.
He said to go through it this year is one thing. He said if he's going to turn around and go through it again next year, said he thinks it would be even worse. Once he's made this decision to call it a career at age 37, the 5-time Pro Bowler, 7th all-time NFL receiving yards, 12th in receptions, and love all around for Steve Smith.
Tore his Achilles last year at the age of 36 and comes back and is really the number one wide receiving threat for this Baltimore Ravens offense all year long.
Great career, man.
Called it his first love, the game of football. And after 16 years in the National Football League, Steve Smith with Jenny Dell.
All right, Steve, I got to ask you the million-dollar question. Was this your final game?
Yeah, this is it.
This is it. I can see the emotion that you're feeling right now. It's been 16 amazing years. What do you hope your legacy will be?
I don't have to have, a legacy is not what you give people, it's what you put inside people, and also what they put inside of me. There's a lot of guys I respect. I'm going to miss them, but, at some point it comes to an end. I got a beautiful wife at home, Angie, and 4 kids that need their dad, and I need my kids. So I'm going home to Charlotte to build my family. We got a new house we're going to build, so, and I got a sophomore in college, going to be at college, a junior, soon to be a junior, a daughter in high school, a son in middle school, and a 2-year-old. And I got a lot of catching up to do. This game has given me a lot, but at the same time, I need to give my family more.
What are you going to miss most about the game?
I know I'm not going to miss practice, I can tell you that. But there's a lot of things I'm going to miss, but, all things come to an end.
Before the game, you had some important names on your shoes that you were wearing. What's your message to all of those people right now?
Those names on there weren't just about football. They were people in my life. Rod McBride, rest in peace, Richard Williamson, Jake Delhomme, Mike Payton, Mark Payne, my mom, my dad, just a ton of people I miss. Jake Delhomme, Ricky Pro, Eisenberg, Carl Hankton. A ton of people, University of Utah, the Smith family, and then the Young family, my mom and dad. So just multiple people that have had an impact. One of my best friends, 2 of my best friends, Jesse and Peter, that just guys that have been with me when we were just, there was a hope and a dream.
Congratulations on a phenomenal career.
Appreciate it.
Life ahead for Steve Smith, the family man, but the football career ends here in Cincinnati. Stay tuned for Game 2 of our doubleheader on CBS, Raiders-Broncos. So for Chris Sims, Jenny Dell, this is Carter Blackburn saying so long from Cincinnati. Now it's time for the NFL Today update. Let's go to James Brown in New York.